On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome Jordan Becker to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Becker, whose journey from early independence, anxiety, and alcohol dependence to sobriety and self-discovery is inspiring. After years of using alcohol as a coping mechanism, Jordan made the life-changing decision to get sober on April 13th, 2025. Today, he shares how sobriety helped him reclaim his life, strengthen his relationships, and author a powerful book and field manual focused on personal growth and accountability. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up wherever you are, whatever you are doing? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on almost all of those platforms. Just search Survive and Thrive 8791, the podcast. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you liked what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental health, mental illness, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. Before I introduce our guest, I'd like to highlight our website, Survive and Thrive 8791.com. You can see what we are doing at Survive and Thrive 8791 and the events we are hosting. More importantly for us, if you're a business or an advocate for mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities. Please contact us at Survive and Thrive 8791 at gmail.com. This is our guest and episode intro, and according to the internet, and the internet is always right, correct, Jordan?
Absolutely.
That was a firm absolutely. Yeah, I love it. Well, if you're in my house, I don't need the internet. I don't need Siri. I don't need Alexa. I don't need ChatGPT. I don't need any of that. I have my wife, and she's always right.
That's right.
Happy wife, happy life.
Happy spouse, happy house.
Oh, hey.
There you go.
There you go. Can I borrow that from you?
You can use that one, absolutely.
All right.
It's not mine.
It's not yours. Yeah. According to an AI artificial intelligence overview, millions of Americans seek sobriety annually, with recent data showing around 2.2 million adults receiving alcohol treatment and about 23.5 million adults considering themselves in recovery, while roughly 48.7 million people had a past year's substance use disorder, indicating a vast number striving for sobriety, though many don't get formal help. The numbers fluctuate, but highlight that many individuals are actively working towards recovery from alcohol and other issues each year. And our guest and myself are in those millions that I just mentioned, being in active sobriety and active recovery. Today, I welcome Jordan Becker to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Jordan grew up in Garden City, Kansas, and attended Garden City High School. After leaving high school, stating high school wasn't my thing, he would get his GED before entering the work world. Since then, he has worn many different hats in his professional life. Today, I'm so glad he could join us. Jordan Becker, what is up?
Morning. Hey, it's good to be here, man.
Morning. And we have snowflakes the size of doilies as you were making your way up here to the capital city.
Covering the ground already.
Not too bad, though?
No, it's not bad at all out there yet.
Not too bad. Okay. We'll get to it. How were your holidays?
We're good, man. How about you?
They were pretty good. I think I mentioned or shared that I've got 3 grandkids, and they are all growing now and starting to talk and nice. Doing all that stuff. And it's just really cool. And then our grandson is at that age now where he kind of is the budding star of Christmas. So he can kind of do some cool things. Did you get back to Kansas at all?
Not for Christmas. No, we did for Thanksgiving, but I haven't seen my mom since Thanksgiving. I haven't seen my granddaughter since like July. So I need to fix that part for sure.
Yeah, that is not the best drive to Kansas.
It's not.
I don't know how. Do you avoid Highway 80?
I try to avoid all of that. Yeah, I go down through Kansas City and go down in that, it makes it easier on me cutting across Kansas that way.
I always say that when you go through Iowa and Nebraska and probably a little bit of Kansas, that if you fell asleep at the wheel, the worst thing that might happen on some stretches is you might lane change. And whoa, and then you come back to and because there's a lot of straight road, and then I guess maybe worst case scenario is you end up in a sunflower patch or some corn, or
end up in a nice soft field with no trees for sure.
Nice soft field with no trees. Are you looking? Speaking of trees and soft fields and corn, are you looking forward to the spring?
I am. I love spring. That's my favorite time of year.
What do you? What captures your fancy in the spring besides the changing colors and snow going away?
My body doesn't hurt for one.
Are you one of those? Are you one of those guys at the trick elbow? It's going to snow tonight.
It's not quite that bad, but absolutely the cold hurts, man. I'm not cut out for cold. I'm a tropical people, I guess.
Well, yeah, I've talked to several friends recently, and it seems that's always the topic of discussion when there's snowing. It's bitter cold out, but we've had I would say a mild winter so far, with other than some of the snow. But yeah,
bad.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying that I maybe should be checking out stage left and heading to Arizona or Florida or wherever.
I'm seriously considering it for sure.
Yeah, well, I need to make sure I get that address. All I need is just a little small patch in the basement, and give me the Sunday paper, and I can wrap up, and
we can make that work.
We can make that work. All right, before we get to your story, I need to talk about our sponsor one more time. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. Do you cook dinner?
I love to cook.
You love to cook. Okay, I'm going to ask you what I think I might think you might be, but I'm going to ask you what genre, style, or cuisine, and then are you a Kansas City barbecue guy?
Kansas City barbecue is good. I'm personally a my barbecue guy.
You're a barbecue guy.
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that like mine is the best. I just like what I like, and I'm really good at what I like. So
I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to follow that up with hopefully not the response you're going to give me, but what do you put in your barbecue? And then if you tell me, are you going to have to kill me later on?
No killing involved.
No killing
involved. So I just use a dry rub. I don't even use barbecue sauce at all. No, I don't use barbecue sauce. I just use a dry rub. And it depends on what I'm cooking as to what I'm going to put on it. But the key is I use a smoker. I smoke all of my meat.
Are you brisket? Are you like a pork butt?
Yeah, anything like that is going to go on that smoker. I like it all, man. And it depends on the time of year. Summertime, I like the briskets and the pork butts and the pulled pork, and because
those are. And I have a smoker out back, although I haven't visited it for probably a couple years. I do know that when you're cooking those heavier, thicker cuts of meat, that it's a day process.
It is. It's a long process for sure.
Are you also ribs, chicken?
Those are the stuff I do in the wintertime when I don't have to spend a lot of time outside.
Or they don't have to spend a lot of time in the smoker.
Exactly.
In the smoker either. With their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back with locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Waunakee, and Mount Horeb. Most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the Madison metropolitan area, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. Do a little drum roll here. Have you been to Buck and Honey's?
Man, I have not.
You have not?
Well, I have not.
If I know we had talked off air before I hit the record button, you said maybe I'll have to get a date night and bring the wife up here from Lake Mills, or some night, hey, I'm coming up. I'm going to take you up on that pizza, because I get the pizza about half the time from Buck and Honey's, and then they got a wide range of stuff. So I'm going to invite you up to come up for dinner some night, and we'll get some pizza or whatever you want. And my treat. On the podcast, our guests will follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1, we talk about what was it like, Jordan's history, what happened to get Jordan on the podcast. And in segment 2, we continue to talk about what happened and get into what it's like now. And we discuss Jordan's 5 suggestions for thriving. So you grew up in Garden City, Kansas. Tell us about what life was like growing up in Kansas.
Yeah, it was, I guess, typical childhood. I grew up, my parents got divorced when I was, I wasn't even born, I don't think, when they actually separated. So My mom met my stepdad when I was a couple years old. Just kind of grew up in the, typical Midwestern cowboy, whatever family, but there was a lot of addiction in the, in the scene, behind the scenes. So lots of drama and suspense in that, but I mean, nothing out of the ordinary, just that typical kind of blended family. Had a couple of step siblings. And
when you're growing up in maybe the 80s, 90s, when you were growing up, there was a lot of that behind the scenes going on, and kind of everybody knew about it, but you know what, they got their issues and we got the same issue. Everybody had kind of the same
Absolutely.
issues. So what is the size of Garden City, Kansas?
Growing up, it was about 20,000, I'm guessing. It's probably...
Small city.
Yeah, small city. It's probably 35 or 40 now.
Okay.
So it's grown, but it's still not a big city by any means.
You were raised by your mom and stepdad. You were an only child, but have some step siblings. Spin some yarns about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I say typical childhood. My stepdad and his ex-wife got divorced, I don't know, sometime right before him and my mom met. I couldn't even tell you the story leading up to that, honestly, but they had 2 kids, Casey and Jennifer. And, they came over every other weekend, spent the summers there, so we kind of did that whole blended family thing. We just grew up just together. I mean, as kids, we really didn't know any different, other than they spent most of their time somewhere else. So it wasn't like we were step siblings at that point. So.
And you started understanding their schedule when they were coming in, and you had the place to yourself for a while.
Yeah, I had my room to myself, and we had separate rooms anyway. But I had my stuff to myself, and then when he showed up, I had a good friend to hang out with and just have fun in the summers with. Man, it was a good time.
All right, yeah, sounds like your typical life growing up in the Midwest. Speaking of Midwest, is Kansas in the Midwest considered, or are they on the fringe?
Yeah, I don't know how you would really consider that.
A suburb of the Midwest.
Definitely not Southern for sure. So I would consider it more Midwest in culture and political leaning for sure.
Yeah, and of course, when I think of Kansas, I automatically think of Dorothy. Clicking the heels together and heading back to Kansas. Are you guys in the whatever the tornado alley?
Yeah,
considered.
Yeah, that's right in the heart of the tornado alley, or I guess the part of Kansas that's in Tornado Alley. It's definitely kind of on the fringe barrier of it, but it's in it for sure.
I'm going to ask you the obvious question, and somebody's driving to work right now or working out, and somebody's going, Coach Secor, ask him. You're talking about tornadoes. Have you seen any tornadoes?
Unfortunately, I've seen too many to count. Man.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I've seen.
I would down on the ground, giant ones, small ones.
I would guess I have personally seen, maybe not touch the ground, but coming out of the sky, I've probably seen 30 or 40.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it has. Is it moving? Is it awe-inspiring? In your words, what is it?
It's all of those. It's amazing to witness the power of something like that and how it happens, but it's also scary. I mean, I've been as close to one as like I'm running for my life from the tornado close to it. So it's definitely scary, and it's just to witness the raw power and the damage that it can do is insane.
Well, and then second question for myself is that I've watched things, clips on the news and shows on the, Discovery Channel, and they talk about, and they phrase it the same way. It sounded like a freight train.
That's about as close as you could get. It's like being in a wind tunnel with a freight train. I mean, it really is. It's the pressure and the sound is crazy. I haven't been close enough that I have felt the pressure, but just witnessing what happens from the pressure is crazy.
Wow, that's amazing. That's good stuff. You turned me into like a little 10-year-old kid. I'm asking questions, and we could turn this into a storm chasing, tornado chasing episode. But
it fascinates me.
At age 16, you decided that high school wasn't my thing, which probably a lot of us are thinking the same darn thing. But you did probably, again, what a smaller number or smaller percentage of people did, is that you acted on that. And we're going to find out how well things have changed for you. And I don't know if you'll have an opinion about I should have stayed in school, or I did exactly the right thing. You can sprinkle that in there somewhere, because if we got some younger people listening, you can maybe alter their future a little bit, plus or negative, but we'll see. But how so? And what did you do after you left high school?
So high school wasn't my thing. What I mean by that, I spent a lot of time being smarter than a lot of the adults that I had to deal with on a regular basis. And I don't say that in an egotistical way. I mean that I didn't know how to learn their way. And it's almost a learning disability at that point, but it's not. I learn fine. I just have to learn my own way. Mm-hmm. So that translated into, I'm not learning anything. This is a waste of my time. Why am I here? And subsequently, I had a principal ask me right after coming back from Christmas break, brand new semester, why did you come back? He knew I had turned 16. You could drop out at 16. He said, why are you here? You have no desire to be here. We don't want you here. I have the paperwork ready. Do you want to sign it? So I did.
It must have been, because I can kind of, maybe at some point, the administration decided, they probably saw some good in you, but then they also maybe realized that, we don't want to battle with you. You don't want to battle with us. I'm going to kind of say it straight, but I do have some sincerity behind that. You must have either said, well, good, I need my right, there's my papers, I'm going to take off, good riddance, or you know what, hey, I'm glad you finally see it kind of my way, and you understand I don't want to fight anymore, you don't want to fight, so you know what, what was that like with that conversation?
Looking back on it now, that's exactly what it was. It was a principal that knew I had no desire to be there, and I was going to continue to be a disruption the entire time I was there. So he was doing damage control essentially, but in a caring way. I mean, he wasn't, it wasn't like he was trying to kick me out of his school by any means. He was giving me another option. And honestly, now looking back on it, I thank him for it. It was a great decision for me. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, he helped you he reinforced your what you were maybe thinking all along, and maybe you just needed that. And sometimes we need that somebody to reinforce what we believe, and otherwise we keep hunting for it, and it sounds like you did it. So after you sign the papers, walk out the door, peace, and then what were your next options? Because we talked off air, 16 to turning, is a 16 back then was you can drop out of high school, and then 18 it would be the next age level where you then become an adult, and your life is your own. Then talk about that in between period.
Yeah, those were some rough years, man. I turned 16 in December of that year, and then dropped out in January of the following year, so that would have been January of 95. I think at that time I was already living with my real dad. Mm-hmm. No desire to live with him, but it wasn't under my mom's care anymore. That was more of a resentment issue than anything. It wasn't that it was an unsafe situation. It was just that it had been for so long. I was already done, just had decided that wasn't my thing. So looking for any escape from that, moved in with my real dad for a while, or my biological father. I don't want to say real dad because that's a title he probably doesn't deserve. Mm-hmm. So I moved in with him for a little while, moved in with a friend for a while, moved back in with my mom for a little bit, just kind of searching for what was going to happen. And then had another defining moment. Literally a year later, my mom, in December of that year, said, listen, if you go get your GED, I'll pay for your first apartment. Go away.
And there had to be like a little fist pump.
Pretty much, yeah. It was just, hey, this is what I want to do. I just can't afford it because I don't have a career. I don't have anything I can do. But coming with that, obviously, I had to find something to do that I could sustain. So I got my certified nurse's aide at that point, and then started working in nursing homes, and that's kind of how that led into that part of my life.
So I'm gonna go back to I'm thinking of some of the notes here, and if somebody does want to take this route, or there's a parent listening out there, and it sounds to them like a correlation between them and your mom. And then maybe there has to be that acceptance of, okay, Jordan is taking this path. I'm going to help him a little bit and help guide him. And then kind of made the little deal with you that you pass your high school equivalency tests and venture into the professional world before you would settle on some construction stuff. And you wouldn't have been able to go and start working in the nursing home unless you had the GED.
That's
right?
correct. That is correct. So I think that was kind of her way of leading me into doing something, because she knew I was going to have a sustainable job, and I was working in fast food and whatever. That wasn't going to pay the bills. So I think her GED idea was just a way of getting me in that mindset that, hey, you're going to have to do something. If I'm going to pay for your apartment, you got to pay for it later. I'm doing this one time, not month to month.
Yeah.
So that just kind of led into the nurse's aide thing naturally. I don't even know how that became what I chose to do, other than I couldn't do construction, because that's what I'd done in the summers and stuff up until that, working for my grandpa. I couldn't do that as a full-time job, not being 18. You can't drive equipment, and they can't insure you, for one. So I had to find something, and then that's, like I say, that led into the nursing home, certified nurse's aide, certified medication aide stuff, and I really enjoyed it. I actually did it for 4 years. So
let's go back for a second. So you got some differing things that I'm kind of picking up on. You go in and start working in a nursing home where you've got to provide some care and maybe even develop some relationships, not only with coworkers who care about people, and you've got your people that live there that you got to care for and develop relationships with. And then we go back to like 16 and before, where you were being a disruption at school and fighting against administration and maybe kids you didn't like, and vice versa. They didn't like you. Two differing people. Jordan before 16, and then Jordan between 16 and 18. How did that something change in your mental makeup that said, dang, I like working with these older folks, or these other people I'm working with now? Was it a different contrast?
That's a good question. I guess I've never really put those two together until you just said it. I didn't even realize how different those two things were.
I just saw how you had like a aha moment a little bit.
I didn't even realize how different those two things were. That's funny.
Yeah, and was it funny to you? I mean, like, what were you thinking back? Now that I said it,
looking at it now, yeah, I guess I never put any thought to it, to be honest with you. I don't know. It was just, I've always been a people person. I love people. And me being the disruption was never anything but that. It was just trying to be seen. It was trying to fit in. It was trying to figure out my own way. It was, even if it's negative attention, at least I'm getting some attention.
Mm-hmm. And you were probably getting some attention from the people, the patients that were living in the nursing home. They probably liked you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was like their best guy. Everything they needed, I was there. I mean, it was something I enjoyed doing. I got to bond with a bunch of cool people,
Well, since we're on that part, talk about some of your, one or two best memories of working either with some of the staff members at the nursing home, or there was this man or this woman that was a patient there or lived there. Was there a one or two kind of neat moments that you had?
I think one of the most probably powerful ones is the first time I saw somebody die. That was a little rough to deal with the first time, especially at, I don't know, I might have been 16 and a half,
Mm-hmm.
So I really didn't understand. I mean, I'd seen people die before, right? But not the actual act of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd seen people alive and then dead, not it happening. So that was a different experience, and probably one that I will never forget the first time. And
were you the guy that was with them when maybe there wasn't any loved ones around?
There was loved ones around, but they were, it all happened pretty fast. Mm-hmm. Their condition deteriorated pretty quickly, so they were still coming in, kind of gathering. So we were still in there, trying to clean up and get her presentable, and we were still in there when she passed. So, mm-hmm. We got to watch it, but her family was there also. So it was cool to get to be a part of it, even though we were, we had a job to do, but we still got to be a part of it. I mean,
and you were connected, and you had relationship with this person, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would turn 18, and we had talked off air again. 16 is a unique moment, and then 18 becomes a unique moment because you're considered then an adult by the U.S. government, the United States, Kansas, What did that mean to you? You got now maybe a couple other doors that open up.
Yeah, so I would say 18 is kind of that defining point for me, not just government-wise, but definitely in my programming as well. Like I met my first wife at 18, and we were married pretty quickly after. I had my first kid at 19, so that was a pretty deciding point in my history for sure. I mean,
yeah.
It all happened pretty quick, and I wanted that. I mean, I can remember being in 4th grade, and I couldn't wait to have kids, so I could do it different than my parents did. Stupid thought, but it was just what I thought. I mean, it was what I wanted. Knowing what I know now, that was a wrong decision, but I didn't, we just do what you do. I mean.
So based on that statement and based on your experience, if somebody younger is listening right now and has got that same thought in their mind and there's nobody around them to say, I would suggest doing this, or here's my advice, or based upon my experience, what would you tell them?
It's a real feeling. I get it. But it's definitely spun in other issues. It's not that you want a kid. It's not that you want a family. It's that you want to be accepted. You want to be loved. At least in my case, it was. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it was just always constantly trying to fill a hole that I wasn't getting somewhere. I mean, not realizing that hole was actually in me and I needed to fix it. But again, that's years of trying to fill that hole. So
yeah, I can appreciate that. Because our listeners want to hear your story and how this all plays out, because the title is we're going to interweave sobriety and changing and being an author and some of the work you're doing now with kind of a field manual of how to do some things. I need to talk about our sponsor one more time. We'll get to that here. So Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask, why Buck and Honey's? Owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He is a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honey's does, and Tom Anderson does a great job over there. Jordan Becker is in Buck and Honey's remote studios today to talk about his life as a construction journeyman and part-time contractor and going back and forth, who has lived all over the country. I believe he said 30 different states. He would battle mental health issues for much of his life, leading him to substance abuse that nearly cost him everything a couple times in his life. You'll hear about that and the work he is doing now. Please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365, and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. Today, I'm glad to be joined in the Buck and Honey's remote studios by Jordan Becker. He has battled mental health issues for much of his life. He's here to share his story in hopes of helping others who have struggled just like he has. So you would battle anxiety and depression much of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since the show has a mental health component to it, tell our listeners how what that was like with the anxiety and depression, and then maybe paint some pictures of, all right, when I was feeling anxious, this is kind of what I knew was starting to happen, or when I felt, depressed, here's where I was and this is what it looked like. Because you're painting a picture for some of our listeners that might be listening for the first time, and they might say, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm anxious, or I'm that guy. I'm depressed. And if he's saying it and he got help, maybe I need to get help. And, by what you're saying and what you're, describing could lead somebody, and I hope it leads several people to reach out. So talk about the anxiety first.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you about the anxiety and depression and the fear and all of that. But unfortunately for me, I didn't have any idea how to identify emotion in my own self. Everything for me was either joy or rage. There was no real in between. I mean, I was either happy or I was pissed. I mean, everything led to that. And looking back on that now, I know that the anxiety was part of that, and the fear and the rejection and, all that stuff is all part of it. But I didn't know how to identify those emotions in my own life. I didn't know what I was feeling to tell you how I felt. Mm-hmm. So that transferred to the two things that I knew how to feel. So for me, that really is it. I didn't know that I had anxiety. I didn't know that I had depression. I didn't know that I had all that stuff in my life. I really didn't until much, much later.
So what was it then? When did you know that it was time to make a change? And then knowing what you know now, and knowing what you could go back in time in 1995, what would you say to your younger self that would make them change what they're doing?
So to answer the first part of your question, when did I know it was time to make a change? That's kind of a two-part question for me, and I know it's a two-part question for you as well. Mm-hmm. But the two parts, so 2022, after my second divorce, kind of took some time off, and I really had to at that point look at myself, because obviously 2 failed marriages, I can't point the finger at the wife anymore, right? So that was a big turning point in my mental health, at least in the decision to do something about it and to try to figure it out. It wasn't a good turning point in the action I was taking, but mm-hmm. But then that led into a lot of drinking and a lot of other things that, then we come into the substance abuse and all the fun things after that.
Kind of that I've heard people describe it as destructive behavior. Mm-hmm. And, before I knew what I know now, destructive behavior might have been putting my hand through some drywall, mm-hmm. or, playing men's hoops and shoving some guy and getting into a fight, on the basketball court. But also destructive behavior could be, what are we doing to me, myself? I'm destroying my body and my mental. I'm destroying our marriage, so to speak, by my actions. And you try to remove yourself from some situations, relationships. You even did some geography change, because I know some people do I'm getting out of Kansas and I'm moving to Missouri, and I'm going across the river, and I'm going to get I'm going to straighten things out, but you tend to, drag, or you're being dragged by your issues. How are you coping now that you took your coping mechanism that maybe you only knew out?
Yeah, that's been the 6-month journey for sure, man. It's been a tough one. It's been a lot of having to get real honest with myself. I didn't realize how much I lied to myself and manipulated myself and took the easy way out. And I didn't have any idea I did that. I really didn't. I thought I had a pretty good handle on at least the perception of myself that I thought I had, and that was wrong. Taking the alcohol away shattered any perception of myself that I thought I had.
At some point then, you maybe you got some hours of sobriety, and then those hours turned into day, and then that day turns into a week, and then 2 weeks, and you're starting to get a little clear-headed, and maybe you're what people would call white-knuckling it. That's up exactly to that right. point, and don't drink, doing some prayers. And who did you start to lean on for some support? Was it family? Was it mentors, friends, coworkers? And what were they doing, or how did they come into your life?
Yeah, so for me, when I made the decision to get sober April 13th of 25, that was the day I took my last drink. That was the last time I even really had a serious thought about drinking. For me, once I made that decision, that's it. That's just not an option anymore. And I've never even really had a craving other than just a passing thought here and there. But it took me praying to either let me die or make me quit drinking to make that happen. It took a lot of willingness and a lot of desperation on my part to get to that point.
And think about this for a second. You might have been dying for 3 or 4 years up until that date, which I'm gonna bring that date up here again in a little bit. And that's all you knew. I just, kill me, help me die now. And you didn't say the other flip side of that is help me live.
Yeah.
I want to live.
Yeah.
Like my favorite movie was just on over Christmas break. It's a Wonderful Life. I want to live, the character in that, but you didn't maybe know how to. And now looking at it, are you living or are you dying now?
And now I'm living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a much better place to be in.
Absolutely, man. I spent way too many years dying, just waiting to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. Who fell out of the sky and landed and maybe tapped you on the shoulder and said, I can help you?
Honestly, there's been so many people, man. There's this guy, Cody. So right after getting sober, I'm on a job in Racine. I'm hurting, I'm a mess. It's probably April 15th, 16th. I mean, it's bad. I'm a mess. It might be April 18th. I might have had 5 days of sobriety. But this guy comes back. Actually, it was my third day. I know it was because I know what day it was. But my third day of sobriety, this guy comes back, and we sit at the same table. I didn't realize he's coming back. He had just come back from a 30-day treatment program, so he's 33 days sober, and I'm 3 days sober, and we sat across from each other at the same table in a tent full of 2,000 people. How does that happen? It's all God. So that was one of them.
Guy delivered an angel.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. He's done that for me so many times, even through the mess of abandoning myself and everything else. He's always taken care of me, so... But yeah, it's, there's been a lot of people like that, man. My wife has been my biggest support. She drank with me and she's been sober with me. She quit drinking when I quit, and she didn't have to because she doesn't have a problem. So, that's a big support. My mom, we've been able to rekindle a relationship that we've never had. Just getting to have that connection and that bond, my stepdad, I don't even know how sober he is. I know he struggled over the years. I don't care. It doesn't matter. He's a different guy than he ever was. So
and you're a different guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I cannot tell you. I still find myself waking up every day amazed at how different I am, or how, just the gifts that I have in my life today. I really do.
All right. I'm gonna give you a date here, and I want to get your reaction when I say April 13th. 2025, and we're shooting today on the morning, Saturday morning, January 10th, 2026. So as of today, 272 days. I'm going to ask you the first question. We'll come back to the second question in a little bit here, but what does that mean to you, that day?
Man, that day means everything to me. Honestly, I said it to my wife this morning after I woke up, and we were talking right before I came to this podcast. I said, even today, that was still the single best decision I have ever made. And it took a lot of desperation to get there. I'm not trying to put the ego in it like I did it. No, it took a lot of help, but it ultimately had to be my decision.
We're going to go back a little bit because I also want to frame this for anybody who is wanting to get sober, and you're going to take that first and second day, and then you even brought in 3 days and maybe 5 days. It's not easy. It's hard.
It's not. It is.
And sometimes you've been living in the proverbial hell for who knows how long, 10, 15, 20 years, 2 years, whatever, and you got to crawl back out of that, and it takes some time. Talk about those 3 to 5 days there.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Had I known, like the first 3 to 5 days, whatever, it's rough. It's, all the withdrawal symptoms, the physical stuff, the mind racing, that stuff. I didn't want to drink, so that was never an option. But I didn't know how to feel normal because there was nothing to dull the senses, right? Everything is loud all of a sudden.
And a good way to dull those senses was to pick up and take a drink.
Absolutely. I'm glad that was never an option for me. Again, I'm convinced that God took the compulsion from me the day I asked for it. I really am, because I have never had a thought again. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm hearing and listening to a man speaking with some conviction. What does that mean to your family and your coworkers? Because you got your family at home, but then you also have a family that you got to look after and take care of and work with on the job site.
Yeah. My family's spread all over the place, man. I have 3 kids that are all adults. They're all, one's in Indiana, one's in Kansas, one's in Oklahoma, and one's in Tennessee. So they're kind of spread all over the place. So I have to find creative ways to be a part of their lives, because they're kids. They have lives. It's not that they don't want to communicate, but I have to find ways that I can be a part of what they're doing, because I don't get to be around them daily. So we have Zoom meetings once a week. My son and my son-in-law, we meet once a week. My daughter and both of my daughters, same meeting, we meet once a week. So, just stuff like that. We have to find ways to be creative. And that's all new stuff. That's all stuff that, man, I was just, after getting sober, I was searching for anything I could do to fill that hole, right? And again, still didn't know what the hole was. So I'm looking at these big projects, the book, the Forged in Ashes that we'll get to in a little bit, all that stuff. That's all just trying to fill holes. But what I finally had to realize is that hole was actually me, and I needed to fix that part. So all these new things that I'm doing now are just trying to fill in that void. They're just putting good stuff in it, I guess.
I like to ask, when people come on and talk about substance use and abuse, what have you accomplished in the last 272 days that you couldn't have before, now that you're not drinking?
The relationships I have today with the people that are in my life were not possible before. Nobody felt safe around me, and I didn't realize that, man. I really didn't. I tried my best to provide safety in every aspect of my life, and I failed miserably. And I didn't even know it is the hard part. Nobody felt safe around me because they could never predict what was going to happen, or how I was going to react, or what I was going to do, or how erratic I was going to behave, or whatever. So the fact that they get to be safe and comfortable to tell me things again, and not have to worry about what they're going to filter out of the conversation, or that kind of stuff is the stuff that I'm really enjoying right now.
How many times has someone in your tight circle, your family, have said, "I love you now. I love you," and you can feel it now?
A lot. Yeah, every time we talk. My son and I, we had our meeting Thursday, and my son-in-law had to jump off. He was getting a call from his mom, so it was just my son and I. And we talk a lot anyway, but just that conversation, I guess, because it was set up the way it was, led to him laying out a lot of feelings that I didn't realize he was dealing with, and, led me to realize that maybe I need to check in with him a little more. Mm-hmm. So it's all great stuff that I get to benefit from and be a part and just be present mostly, Not only have you changed your life, but you have an opportunity now to impact so many others, starting with, siblings, parents, your own kids, everybody that's around you now. You're changing lives because you've changed yours. And it's freaking inspiring. And yeah, that people have that power to do that, and you flip that over. One person also has the opportunity to wreck a lot of lives. Yes, sir.
And that's just kind of the getting sober or staying in their situation, alcohol use disorder or alcoholism, whatever it happens. You can do one or the other, and you're choosing the better. The more healthy path, I'll say. So let's talk about what you are doing now. You're an author of a book, Burned to Ashes, The Fall Before the Rise, and you're currently working on a field manual style book called From Ashes to Action, the Forged 6-week reset program. let's talk about those experiences. So the first one is the book. Talk about the book.
Yeah, so the book that's published right now, I wasn't even going to do the book to begin with, but somebody talked me into it. So it's actually
same here. I'm working on it. So, yeah.
So somebody talked me into it. What I really was going to do, what my plan was, again, this was me searching, still trying to fill that hole, not realizing where the action needed to be. But I decided to do the field style manual first because I didn't know how to live as a sober guy. I had no clue. So I build systems. That's what I do. I don't know. It's just how I've always handled life. Instead of just kind of going at it blind, I build systems that I can follow. And if it works, cool. If not, we'll adjust the system.
Kind of goes along with the construction thing you pour the foundation, frame up the house,
exactly.
And then blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you are used to systems.
So I gotta design the blueprint, and then, so that's really what that book was, is it was me just designing a blueprint to try to figure out how to be the best person I could be and, try to get out of this hole that I had dug. So that's where the book came in, is really, it was just for me. And then I realized the benefit in it, but then I realized nobody had any idea what led up to that book, and it really had no credibility, because what do I care? Who are you? So that's when the first book, it's actually going to be a 3-part series, but the first one is the Burn to Ashes. Then the second one will be that field manual. And I don't know when that's going to be published, probably sometime this summer. They'll all be on Kindle Direct, so it's super easy downloads. You can either do, like with the field manual, you're going to want the hard copy, but you can do a paperback copy and just put it in a binder. It's super simple. It's literally a binder style setup. I mean, I like systems and I like efficiency. So
I think you got a future ahead of you, and I hope to be able to, put this in the promo of where they can get the book. So speaking of that, if they can't wait, I need to find this book. They can't get the field manual yet, but they can get the book, and maybe they can start there and then go to part 2 when the part 2 comes out. Where can they get their hands on the book?
Yeah, so you can go to Kindle Direct or anywhere, Amazon. You can search that title, Burn to Ashes: The Fall Before the Rise. I don't have a link on me, or I would have sent you one. I should have done that, but anyway, you can go, like I say, it's available through Amazon. Just go to Amazon and search that title, you'll find it, or search my name, you'll find it. It's the only one I have published. So
what I'll do is I'll try to put the link below the promo, and they can scroll down if they want to get to the meat and potatoes and click on that, and hopefully I can click the link, or they can click on the link and it'll take them right to buy now.
And they can follow me on social media too. It's all Jordan Becker. Just search my name. That's everything. All my public profiles are that, so you can search all of that, and I'll have the link there as well, but I'll send it to you after the show.
Okay. What is next for Jordan Becker?
That is a great question, man, and I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question yet. For now, it's doing what I'm doing. This feels good, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep the relationships developing, keep the growth, just that kind of thing. For now, I'm stuck in a pretty good pattern, and I like it.
Again, congratulations with the work you're doing.
Same to you, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens, and pencils and jot some things down. Here are Jordan Becker's 5 suggestions that are allowing him to survive and thrive years of mental health struggles, and then putting some of that same work into getting sober and staying sober. Here's what you shared with me, and I'm going to toss these in underhand softball style. Can you hit a softball?
Absolutely. I'll knock it out of the park.
Absolutely. I love it.
Out of the park. I love
Dude
softball.
Is confident without
the only way I can hit
being
a ball.
cocky. I love it. I love it. Here's what you shared, and I'm going to toss these in. I'm going to have you hit these in about 60 seconds or less. Okay. And here's what you shared. Number 1, for you, it's your relationship with your higher power, which is fully synonymous with your sobriety. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, for me, I have to maintain that relationship with my higher power to stay sober. He is the one that gave me the desperation to get sober and to ask for help, and I have to maintain that relationship because it's what it's all built on for me. It's that I call it, I don't know, I use God for shorthand. I won't even go into what God is to me because that's a whole defined thing. But I have to maintain that relationship because I have somebody that has a plan besides me. I don't necessarily know what the plan is all the time. Mm-hmm. There's a defined plan for my life, and I've spent a lot of time not living that. So if I don't have that relationship, I can't follow that plan.
And you have in quote, and we have in quotes in the notes here, spiritual awakening by far.
Yeah, that's kind of that actual definition of the higher power for me. I spent a lot of time, like I went to Catholic school, I didn't have any idea what my higher power was to me in order to define that even. So I had to really come up with what a higher power was to me and how to define that in order for it to mean anything. Just a general idea of some vague creature in the sky or whatever, that didn't do it for me. I had to come up with what it actually meant to me. And that was the biggest spiritual awakening is coming up with what it was to me.
Good stuff. Number 2, ask for help and tell the truth. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah, I ask for help and tell the truth. There's been 2 times in my life I've had to use that. One was cocaine and one was alcohol. And I had to burn all the bridges, man. I had to. If I didn't become fully honest and open and willing to take whatever came, I would have never quit because I would have had all the outs in the world. And I knew I would use them. And I know me better than I know anybody. So I left no excuses. I left no stones to hide behind. I don't know how else to say that, but that was just an important part for me is I got to come clean and be fully honest, and all my secrets now.
I can't help but think as you were talking about that metaphor or analogy or whatever that, okay, you came across the proverbial river of decision and you came over to where the people are that can help you. And then I started telling the truth on this side, and you burned the proverbial bridges to go back over to the other side of telling lies and whatever happens on that side. And now you're there. And yeah, that's why you have 272 days.
I love that visualization. I really do.
Yeah. Number 3, be ready to walk through the fucking fire.
Oh yeah, I had to make sure I put the fucking fire in there.
Yeah,
dude, it's they talk about the pink cloud in AA, and that's a real thing for me. The first 3 months, I'll be honest with you, had I known the cost of sobriety, I probably wouldn't have done it. So thank God for that first 3 months. That was easy. Thank God. The cost for me the last 6 months has been worth it, but it's been hard. It's been fucking work, man. It's been hard.
Number 4, be honest with yourself. Go ahead and hit that.
That's another important part for me is I had to get real honest with myself. I spent a lot of time denying how much I drank, even though I was the one drinking it. There's no way I should have been able to deny it, but I did. I mean, I found ways to justify it and every other thing I could do. So I had to start being honest with myself. I had to look at where I wanted life to go from here, and I knew this wasn't it because all I want to do right now is die. So what's the point in life continuing if that's the case? So I really had to get honest with myself and figure out where I wanted to go eventually.
Let's put this into a little perspective because, again, some of these things are popping off in my head this morning. A normal drinker is going to go out and have a glass of wine and maybe not even drink half of it, have a beer and a half and leave $1 tip underneath that last drink, and there's still, an inch or 2 of beer in the glass. What was your drinking like?
So I'm a normal drinker for the first 2 beers. If I can cut it off at 2 beers, I'm a normal drinker too. But if I have that first shot, then it's going to lead to 20 beers and 20 shots, and we're going to go all night.
And you can get in the vehicle and drive home after that.
Unfortunately, I was a very good drunk driver, and I hate to say that. It took me 35 years of heavy drinking to get my first DUI, and that was one of the things that finally woke me up. Thank God. And
we're not talking. I didn't bring these up to, glorify your drinking career and talk about our drinking careers.
Yeah, no, it's all part of it.
To put it into perspective on the struggle and the battle, and then where the alcoholism can take you.
All part of the struggle we deal with, for sure. It's that was just a normal day for me. I didn't think anything of drinking and driving because it was what I did every day. I mean, it was nothing new for me. It wasn't like I was a casual drinker going out to the bar, having a few beers and going home. No, I'm coming home from the bar drunk every night.
And number 5, allow the feelings to come to you. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah. You have to stay in those feelings, man. I spent a lot of years running from that stuff. I didn't know how to, first of all, identify what I was feeling. So everything was scary. Anything you don't know, anything you can't define is scary. So just the fear associated with those feelings, it's hard to stay put and just feel them and experience it, because that's the work. Figuring out how to process that stuff, figuring out how not to run, figuring out how not to react poorly, that's the work. So you have to be able to stay in those feelings, and you have to be able to honor them when they show up. I had weird situation this morning. I'd like to do a little body check-in, just checking on stuff. I'm literally talking to my body in my mind, checking on my shoulders, checking on my knees, all the trouble spots. I don't know, just a little mind trick, I guess. But I had this weird deal. I've had a taxing week, and I had to make some promises that I kept last night. I went to bed super early, but I woke up this morning and just doing that body check-in. And when I checked in with my shoulder that's been bothering me, I just had this weird, wave of grief, and I guess just the awareness finally. I don't know. It was weird, but I can't even explain it. But it was kind of cool just to get to feel those feelings and sit in them,
Dude, I mean, yeah, we've walked the same journey, and you're telling me some of the same things I felt. And what came to my mind is that when you're not numb from alcohol or Xanax or other benzodiazepines or pain pills or whatever your second option was in addition to the alcohol, so numb. And then once you start to get into early sobriety and you start to feel feelings, I'm starting to feel pain now and got to cope with that. And I feel loved, and I got to maybe cope with that too, because I haven't felt those. And it's finally good to start to feel. And then you pick the good and the bad, and then you kind of latch on to some of the good stuff. Dude, what an episode! I'm so glad you could join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew, and I want to drop in Mark Heller and Jen Heller too, who connected the two of us.
Great people, man,
and some great people. Yeah, and I appreciate Mark sending me your name, and I know this relationship is not going to stop. It'll maybe coffee every 2 months or 3 months or whatever, but
absolutely,
we'll be chatting in the near future. Your new approach to life and how you manage living life with a mental health issues and getting sober is inspiring. You've said some inspiring things today. You're doing some amazing work, authoring a book and a field manual on how to live your life. That's got to feel very rewarding, and this episode is going to definitely help some people. So our call to action, Jordan Becker just shared his story and how he has been sober for the last 272 days with no end in sight. Here are Jordan Becker's 5 suggestions to survive and thrive. Number 1, for you, it's your relationship with a higher power, which is fully synonymous with his sobriety. Number 2, asking for help and telling the truth. Number 3, be ready to walk through the fucking fire. Number 4, be honest with yourself. And number 5, allow the feelings to come and start to feel. Final thoughts as we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. Are there any final thoughts, Jordan Becker?
Yeah, if you're struggling, and if you're torturing yourself with these ideas, and just get some help. I mean, I wish I would have done it sooner. Honestly, I tortured myself far too long for the benefit you get from this. I said earlier, had I known the cost, I might not have done it. But unfortunately, the cost is worth it. Or fortunately, the cost is worth it. Not unfortunately, sorry. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, the cost is worth it. It really is. I would have done this long ago had I known the benefits.
I don't think there is an alcoholic or somebody in recovery or somebody recovering from substances or mental health issues that hasn't said that same exact phrase. If I knew what I knew now, I would have stopped at 16 or 22 or 28.
Yes.
But the nice thing about it is that we can't go and change the beginning of our book, of our memoir, of our biography or whatever, but we can change the ending. And had we not given up our substance of choice, you know what your ending was going to be. I knew what my ending was going to be, but now it's different. And I think we both can agree that it's one that it's yet to be written, but it's got one that's got some, probably a good ending.
I'm trying to make the last half my best half.
Dude, you're dropping all these, you're rhyming, you're dropping all these rhymes in here. All right. On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learn to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.